One of my favorite films of all time is the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. And after watching it over 40 years on and off, doing multiple film studies of it, introducing it to new people, and of course watching tons of reaction videos on YouTube, I realized one thing. There's a really cool and significant moment in the film that a lot of people miss. So let's talk about it.
Is she dreaming?
This'll help you sleep.
No! Oh my God, Earl! Get something!
What happened, baby? What happened?
It's okay. It's okay.
I brought something out from my dream. Where did you get that? I grabbed it off his head.
So at that very moment, this is the scene where a lot of people realize that Nancy was able to pull things out of her dream. And this is a significant part of the original film and actually has carried its way throughout most of the Elm Street's following. So the idea that you can experience something in your dream and it becomes real was pretty much a new concept in horror films. And the way Wes Craven did this film and the way he put it together, I know by today's standards, a lot of people would probably look at it and not think of it so much as a big deal. But at that very moment, Nancy had been suffering a lot of dreams. A bunch of her friends were murdered, and she obviously woke up with a wound that she didn't have prior to, being put to sleep. Her mother was concerned about everything that was happening and took her to that dream clinic. And that's where you see this incident take place, or this scene take place. So also within that scene, Nancy is struggling. And when she wakes up, she's holding the hat of Freddy Krueger. So that's the epiphany, right? Everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is real. So later on in the film, Nancy comes up with a plan where she's going to go to sleep, set an alarm, and try to wake up while she's struggling with Freddy in her dream. So that way, when the alarm goes off and she wakes up, he comes out with her. And then he would become vulnerable in the real world, and she would be able to kill him, would be able to stop him. So that's a real big plot point in the film. So what if I told you that was not the first time Nancy realized that she can pull things out of her dream? Now, it wasn't an immediate like, oh, I can do this. But it was definitely something that happened, something that occurred earlier that made her take notice. And a lot of films today would really focus in, zone in on that, emphasize it. This movie didn't do that. It subtly shows it to you, and it's right in your face, but a lot of people just miss it. So this is the scene I'm talking about.
This is just a dream. He isn't real. He isn't real. You bastard.
What'd I do?
So in this scene, you can clearly see after Nancy has woken up from her dream, she had her alarm clock set. She also had her boyfriend, Glenn, played by Johnny Depp, his first movie, by the way. He was supposed to sit there and watch her and wake her up if it looked like she was having a bad dream. Of course, what does he do? He falls asleep, because this is a horror movie and that's what they do in horror films. But anyway, so he falls asleep, but luckily the alarm goes off and it wakes her up. Now, she didn't pull Freddy out from the dream, even though they were kind of tussling there a little bit. She wasn't like holding on to him. There wasn't anything there that it would indicate that she was attempting to do that, because at this point now, she didn't realize that she can do it, nor was she trying to do it. But something happens, and let's see if you can catch it.
What'd I do?
I just asked you to do one thing. Just stay awake and watch me. Just wake me up if it looked like I was having a bad dream. And what did you do? You shit. You fell asleep.
Nancy?
Shit. Ow. Oh.
Shut up and stay there. Don't go away.
Are you okay?
Yeah, just a little dream, that's all. I'm going right back to sleep. Glenn?
So you might have immediately noticed what I'm talking about. Now, let me just preface this by saying a lot of people that I've showed this film to, whether they're in person or I recommended the film or even watching a reaction video on YouTube, they missed this point entirely. So you might have noticed a continuity error. So we're going to kind of ignore that, but I'll point it out to you. So Nancy, she hears her mom. She has Glenn go outside and she closes the window. She goes back into bed, has a brief conversation with her mother. Her mother leaves. And then you see Nancy looking out the window, which is now wide open. That potentially is the continuity error, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what I want you to focus on. In that same moment, you see a feather floating out of Nancy's window, which would indicate that that feather she pulled from her dream when Freddy ripped the pillow. A lot of people miss that little detail, and it's such of a small detail, but it is a pretty big part of the plot, right? But they don't emphasize that until later on, when Nancy pulls the hat out of her dream. So once she pulls the hat out of the dream, they're focused on that. That's what they're talking about. But Nancy already kind of had the idea or the feeling initially because of that feather floating out. And that was the scene, obviously, prior to her dream sequence. And it's easy for the audience to forget this, right? Because in her dream, she's having a dream about Freddy killing Rod. And she also sees Tina in there. So everyone's thinking about that. And it's one of the scarier parts of the film. So immediately you're kind of decompressing after that scene. And then they show the feather. And then they immediately go to the station, which is where Nancy is trying to save Rod. And if you see in the film, you know exactly what happens after that. So this is yet another example of a film that isn't just handing everything to you, right? It's going to slowly build up and give you little details and little hints here and there. And it's up to the audience to try to put two and two together. Now, obviously, through exposition and through the whole scene with the hat and the way they framed it, obviously they gave it all the way to you. They couldn't just be ambiguous for the rest of the film. And then all of a sudden she's pulling Freddy out of the dream. But if you are really detailed and you're really paying attention, you might have noticed that prior to the scene with the hat. Now you see just that added little detail in the film that you could miss and you'd still understand the film. But if you see it and now you get it and you're aware of it, it makes the details a lot more impressive, especially for that time, and the storytelling just very well done. I love movies that don't give you everything, and a lot of times I miss things all the time, and then years later I might see something and I'm like, oh my goodness, I never put two and two together. So I think this is one of those moments in a scene where people miss, and hopefully it would give you a new appreciation for Nightmare on Elm Street and some of the details that were added into that. You got to think about it. Wes Craven must have been like, all right, let's take one of these feathers and let's make sure it's flying out the window or close to the window, so that way the audience can kind of see that. That's a little part that could have easily been edited out and nobody would have ever even noticed. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new. If you enjoy what I'm doing, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It is by far the easiest thing you could do to help us at this channel, at Off the Dome, and it doesn't cost you a thing, maybe a couple of seconds to click like and click subscribe. With all of that said, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.